When I configured my Tesla Model 3, I didn't order enhanced autopilot. What was I thinking? Hello all you YouTubers out there, this is Frugal Tesla Guy here, and before I get into enhanced autopilot, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the people who use my referral code to order their Teslas. I'm not sure if you got the Model 3 or the S or the X, but any way you look at it, I want to personally thank you. And I am so excited for you because you have got a Tesla on the way, and I think you are going to absolutely love it. And on top of that, because you use my referral code, you get 6 months of supercharging for free. So again, thank you so much, and I'm so excited for you. I can't wait for you to get your cars. Okay, so on to the topic at hand. I did not order enhanced autopilot, and do I regret it? Well, before I get into that, I thought this might be a good opportunity for us to kind of outline exactly what enhanced autopilot is and what it isn't. Before we get into what enhanced autopilot is and what it isn't, I realize that there are probably a lot of people in different phases when it comes to their Teslas, whether they have one now, whether they have an enhanced autopilot, or whether they're just researching as to whether or not they want to get a car in general. So before I get into all of that and what enhanced autopilot is, I am going to post at the bottom here where you can fast forward into my answer as to why I did not get enhanced autopilot and as to whether or not I regret it. But for those of you who want to find out and learn more about enhanced autopilot, now we're going to get into it. So let's start off with what enhanced autopilot isn't. And what it's not is full self-driving. So you may be asking, well, what is full self-driving? Well, it's actually an option that Tesla has been offering for quite some time. However, it still hasn't been released to the general public. And actually up until about a couple of weeks ago, in fact, right around the time that the mid-range Tesla Model 3 was released or announced, they stopped offering that upgrade package. So what you would do is you would order full self-driving even though it wasn't something that was released yet. So you were basically buying something that would eventually be released in hopes that you would be one of the first people to get full self-driving at a discounted price, really, because you can only imagine how much full self-driving is going to cost once it's actually released. So once full self-driving is released, the idea behind it is that you won't have to do anything when the car is driving. So for example, you're at home, you need to go to work, you get in your car and you tell it where you want to go. Or if you don't say anything, it goes to your calendar. And from your calendar, it will take you to your destination. Now here's the other cool part. It'll drop you at the front door, you get out, and without you in the car, it will actually go into self-parking mode and park the car while you go into your work. And when you're ready to go back home or run some more errands, it will take you to that destination and do the same thing with parking, whatever it is you needed to do, and you don't have to do a thing getting from point A to point B. So now let's go into enhanced autopilot is. And going off of their website, the whole package is actually quite impressive. Number one, it's got traffic aware cruise control. It also has auto steer, auto lane change, auto park, summon, and one of the latest releases, navigate on autopilot, which they still advertise as being a beta version. So starting with traffic aware cruise control, just to kind of give you a quick idea, it's a technology that's been around for quite some time. In fact, a lot of cars out there these days have traffic aware cruise control, at least a version of it. And the idea behind it and the way it works is you set your top speed, and even if there's a car in front of you going slower, it will slow down at a certain distance, at a safe distance that you set in the settings. And if you go into the next lane, it will then speed up and pass that car. So it's a really cool feature, but once again, it's a technology that a lot of other cars have these days. But here's where enhanced autopilot really begins to shine. Because on top of the traffic aware cruise control, now you've got auto steering. So the car will steer for you. Now, before I go any further in this topic, one thing you have to understand is that enhanced autopilot it is required that you keep both hands on the wheel, or at least one hand on the wheel, to give the car an idea and a sense that you still have control, or at least will be able to take control of the car at a moment's notice. So once again, we talk about the fact that the car will steer for you, and in a sense, really just kind of keeping you in the center of the lane. But another feature that it has on top of that is auto lane change. Now the auto lane change is pretty cool because you're on the highway and you want to change lanes. All you do is put on your blinker, and then if it's safe, because it will check your blind spot, if it's safe, then it will go into that lane smoothly for you. Oh yeah, and here's another feature I wanted to talk about that comes with enhanced autopilot, and that is when you're either in traffic aware cruise control or even just the enhanced autopilot in general. If you are in stop and go traffic, the car will actually stop and go for you. So that's really another great feature that enhanced autopilot has, is that you don't have to have your foot on the accelerator or even on the brake, because it'll just help alleviate some of that stress. Now the latest and greatest is from version 9 and was kind of just released with 42.2. And what's really cool about it is that it will get you on the highway and then back off the highway without much interaction from you. But again, that being said, you still have to interact. So you're on the on-ramp, getting onto the highway, and it will speed up for you. And it will then give you suggestions. It will say, you know what, you should probably get in that lane. So then you put on your turn signal to indicate that's what you want to do, and it will get into that lane for you. Then when it's time to start getting ready for the off-ramp, it will then suggest going into another lane, which again, you need to put on your turn signal to get it going. And then it will actually take you off of the off-ramp, or onto the off-ramp, that is, off the highway, and then you should be good to go. Now there are other things on top of just driving itself that are included with enhanced autopilot. And those are also pretty cool features. For example, another technology that's been around for quite some time is auto park. So what the Tesla will do is either parallel park for you, or it will also back up into a regular parking space as well. And another feature that's pretty popular is the summon feature. Now that is actually kind of cool as well, because let's say, for example, you're in a tight parking spot, or your garage doesn't have a lot of room in it. So rather than opening your door and then just kind of skimming through it so you don't have to dent your door or hit the other car or hit the wall or anything like that, you can safely summon the car to back out of your garage or that tight parking space. And then once it's out in the open, you can open your door freely, get in the car comfortably, and then you're on your way. So here's the cool part about enhanced autopilot, and really even full self-driving itself, is the fact that all Tesla Model 3s have the hardware for it. So you get your car out of the factory with the 8 all-important cameras that are on the car, and all of the sensors that are on the front and rear bumpers of the car as well. So again, if you don't actually order your car with enhanced autopilot, it doesn't matter, because down the road, if you decide to upgrade, you're good to go. Your hardware is there. On a side note, what is great with the fact that because your car has all the hardware for enhanced autopilot, there are a couple of safety features that you're able to take advantage of that come standard with the car. The first one is automatic emergency braking, a great feature to have. You've also got a side collision and also a front collision warning. So again, some great safety features that come standard with the car. All right, so now we get into the moment of truth. Why on earth would I, or anyone else for that matter, not order enhanced autopilot? Now, before I get into that, I want to just give you a brief description of my experience of the free trial version that I had, which was for about 2 weeks. Now, here's a really cool part about it. I was actually going on a road trip halfway across the country when the enhanced autopilot trial version came out. So it could not have been more perfect timing for me, and it allowed me to kind of play around with enhanced autopilot and use it to its fullest potential. Now, before I went on the road trip, I immediately was really excited about the whole concept of having enhanced autopilot. So of course I went on the highway, I put it in enhanced autopilot, And of course you have that overall just kind of initial giddiness, if you will, of the steering wheel moving for you. If there was a turn, it was turning for you. It stayed in the center of the lane. It was changing lanes for me. So of course the overall initial impression of enhanced autopilot was, this is pretty freaking cool. So after I got over the initial excitement of having enhanced autopilot, I thought, well, this is great. I can use it for my road trip. So I start off on the road trip. I'm thinking, great, I have enhanced autopilot. This is going to be phenomenal. So I put it in enhanced autopilot, and I'm thinking, great, it's working. I'm going the speed I want to go. It's slowing down if there's a car in front of me. It's changing lanes for me automatically. This is fantastic. But here's the thing. The first time I passed a big rig, I wasn't feeling too comfortable. Because the way I drive when I'm driving by myself, I tend to lean to the left side of the lane because that's just the way I've always passed big rigs. So not at fault for Tesla and enhanced autopilot in general, because it's designed to go down the center of the lane. But what I noticed passing big rigs, I was uncomfortable. Realizing that this problem I had with passing big rigs was fairly unique to me, and there may be a few other people out there that feel the same way I do, but for the most part a fairly unique problem, I thought to myself, I want to keep trekking on with this and see if I can get over it, because this is a really great feature and is something that I want to really enjoy. But the more I kept using it and the more I kept passing these big rigs, I just couldn't get over that sense of uneasiness. So in the end, I had to turn off the auto steer function and had to use traffic aware cruise control. So the amazing part is this, is that in my 4,000 mile road trip, within the first 2 to 3 hours of that road trip, I had already stopped using the auto steer portion of enhanced autopilot, which is one of the coolest parts about it. And as I mentioned earlier, in the end, just started using traffic aware cruise control. Now, don't get me wrong, I think traffic aware cruise control is a really great feature, and I really enjoyed it because it did keep me at that consistent speed, and it did slow down if there was a car in front of me going slower, and of course I'd go in the other lane and it would pass that car, and it was great. But one of the other things that I noticed that I wasn't too happy about, and again, these are all things that may have been fixed or repaired in future updates. So this was about 3 months old as far as the software I was using with enhanced autopilot. But when I would approach an overpass, and if there was a car going over that overpass, the Tesla would sense that, and it would abruptly slow down at least 50% of the time that a car was going there. Now, that's of course potentially a dangerous situation, because if there was a car behind me following closely, you could have a potential rear end accident. Again, here's the crazy part. If I had purchased enhanced autopilot for $5,000 in the beginning, I think I would have been disappointed, because again, it's just that one crazy part of me that does not like passing a semi as close as a Tesla does. Again, that's just me. So that alone is something I'm thinking, boy, I'm kind of glad I didn't shell out the cash for it. I would like to put out this full disclosure statement out here, because this is one of those things where people will most likely want to say things, well, how can you buy this car with enhanced autopilot? It's not the car without enhanced autopilot. You know, you made the choice of not purchasing it at $5,000. Now in the end, you have to pay more. No, I get it. I could not agree with anyone who says that 100%. I made a conscious decision upon configuring my car not to purchase enhanced autopilot for the bargain price of $5,000. I knew full well that moving forward, if I wanted to upgrade to enhanced autopilot, it was going to cost me $6,000, at least that at the time of ordering my car, because now that price is up to $7,000. I mean, that just shows you how much more it's improving and how much more people want enhanced autopilot. So who do I have to blame for not having enhanced autopilot on this awesome car? This guy right here. So that is my full disclosure on, yes, I am full aware of the fact that I, in a sense, may have made a mistake. So now we get into the moment of truth. Do I regret not having purchased enhanced autopilot upon configuring my car? It's a bit of a complicated answer to that, because there's a part of me that does, and yet there's another part of me that doesn't. So let's start off with the part of me that doesn't regret it. You know, if you watched my first video of this channel, I really wanted to be an open book and give all of you just kind of an idea where I'm coming from. So to kind of give you an idea, just kind of a brief, is that this car is a little bit of a stretch for me financially. Would I like a smaller car payment? Absolutely. Am I in a financial hardship because of this car? Absolutely not, right? But we would all like smaller car payments. It doesn't matter how much money you make, right? So upon configuring this car, that $5,000 price tag of enhanced autopilot made me say, no, not going to happen. So that really is one of the big reasons why I didn't purchase it, is for financial reasons. Now I want to explain the other side of me that does regret not getting enhanced autopilot. And that's just kind of the geek in me, right? Because whenever I see these updates occur and I'm seeing all the new features and the improvements to enhanced autopilot, there's a part of me, a big part of me, that feels like I'm missing out on something great. I'm watching people's videos. Here's a new feature of this. Here's a new feature of that. Here's what it's doing. And again, that geek in me is thinking, man, I'm truly missing out on something awesome. Now back on the side of not regretting having not purchased enhanced autopilot. And really what it comes down to is my overall driving habits. I don't really drive on the highway a lot. Of course, we all go on road trips, we go on vacations, and we drive on the highway. But my day-to-day use of the car, a big percentage of it is on local roads. And I really wouldn't be able to best utilize enhanced autopilot. So from my house to my work, I don't even get on the highway. So I wouldn't even be able to use enhanced autopilot. So in the end, when I look at that, and when I also look at the fact that during my 2-week trial of enhanced autopilot and going on a 4,000-mile road trip, I didn't even use the coolest features of enhanced autopilot, that makes me think to myself, I think financially I made a really good decision, because enhanced autopilot is not something I really need. And in the end, that's really what it comes down to, because it was a bit of a financial stretch if I did decide to pull the trigger and get enhanced autopilot, and I don't think I would have been really, truly happy with that purchase, because yes, the luxury of it having enhanced autopilot, that would have been a great feeling, but the fact that I wouldn't be using it as much as the average person, that would have made me think, yeah, I probably could have saved myself some money. What's your situation? Here's what I'd say. If you are purchasing the Tesla Model 3 or the Tesla in general, and money's not an issue, absolutely, spend the $5,000. It's not even going to be a problem for you, right? Because if money's not an issue, who cares, right? You can spend as much money as you want. However, if it's a bit of a financial stress for you, and you're thinking, do I need this? I don't know if I can afford this. Well, if you're like me and your daily driving habits don't really validate the purchase of enhanced autopilot, then maybe you want to think twice about it. But you have to ask yourself, can you handle the idea that there are all of these people out there who are enjoying this amazing piece of technology, and if that's going to kind of eat away at you, that you can't be a part of this great technology that keeps getting better and better with time, you've got to ask yourself, is $5,000 worth that feeling of being a part of something? So here's another scenario that you might want to think about. If you're one of those people looking at getting a Tesla Model 3 or a Tesla in general, and you're kind of going back and forth on the enhanced autopilot thing, something to think about in your daily driving habits. Do you have a commute to and from work where it gets you on a highway every day? And do you have part of that commute a lot of stop and go traffic? If that's the case, then you may really want to consider getting enhanced autopilot, because again, as you know, it stops and goes for you. In stop and go traffic, you can keep your foot off the accelerator and brake, and it will go and stop for you based on the flow of traffic. And that will really help alleviate a lot of stress when you're driving to and from work. So that's my take on enhanced autopilot. Yes, there is one half of me or a side of me that does regret not getting enhanced autopilot, but yet there's another side of me that doesn't regret it. So I'm curious where you are, what you think. Do you already have a Tesla with enhanced autopilot, and are you happy that you have it? I can't imagine that you aren't, but I'd be curious if there's anybody out there who may regret actually having purchased it. Because again, I'd be curious to know how many of you use it on a regular basis if you have it. And I'd also be curious to know if there are people out there who have enhanced autopilot but don't use it on a regular basis. Are you thinking, you know what, maybe I could have spent that money elsewhere? And are you one of those people who is looking to purchase a Tesla Model 3, but you're kind of going back and forth on it? What are your thoughts? Are you thinking you want to get enhanced autopilot? Are you thinking maybe not? I'd be curious to know what you think in general of enhanced autopilot. By the way, if you found the information in this video useful, or it may even help you decide as to whether or not to purchase enhanced autopilot upon configuring your car, go ahead and give this a thumbs up. Better yet, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And if it was helpful for you, well, I'd be greatly appreciated if you'd use my referral code upon ordering your Tesla Model 3. That would be fantastic, because not only will you get a great car, but you'll get 6 months of supercharging for free. How cool is that? So I guess I'm gonna have to be one of those people who has a pretty cool car without enhanced autopilot. I'm gonna have to continue to steer the car on my own. I'm gonna have to continue to use the accelerator with my foot, probably use the brake as well. If I wanna do cruise control, I have to either press on the brake if there's a car in front of me that's going too slow, or I have to use the scroll wheel to slow it down or speed it up, whatever it is I need to do. Oh well, I guess I'm gonna have to play it old school style. So until my next video, stay safe.